Hey, good morning, Northern Michigan. I'm Jim Horn, and this is Travers Talks, your weekly news wrap for Friday, May 15th, 2026. Coming up on today's show, two national stories that hit close to home. A Wall Street Journal report on beef tariffs that could move prices at every restaurant and grocery counter in town, and the latest numbers on Canadian travel into Michigan as we head into the summer. Then for local stories, a major groundbreaking on Lafreniere Road, an update on the Grand Traverse Mental Health Crisis Center, new data showing this county growing as fast as anywhere in Michigan, and a clean sweep of top safety grades for Munson Healthcare. Hey, grab your coffee, or if you're driving the Parkway right now, just turn it up and let's get into it. The Wall Street Journal reported Monday that the Trump administration is preparing to temporarily reduce tariffs on beef imports, a move aimed squarely at bringing down high beef prices at the meat counter. The plan would suspend the annual tariff rate quota. That's the trigger that applies higher tariffs once a certain volume of beef enters the country, opening the door for more imports at lower duty rates. Why this matters? Well, beef prices were up 12.1% year over year in April, and the U.S. cattle herd has dwindled to a 75-year low after drought drove ranchers to cut their herds. The president actually delayed signing the executive orders on Monday, which means as of this broadcast, the policy is still in limbo, but the direction is clear. For Northern Michigan, here's what to watch. Every restaurant, butcher, and grocer from Front Street to Acme is staring down Cherry Festival, wedding season, and a summer or a full summer book. Wholesale beef is the line item that will tell us whether dinner menus hold the line or whether prices climb again before July 4th. Story 2 on the national front, and this one hits the porch of every tourism business in Grand Traverse County. Travel from Canada into Michigan is down roughly 26% year over year in May, with some destinations reporting drops as deep as 65%. That's per Bridge, Michigan, and a series of national reports tied to Wall Street Journal data on cross-border traffic. And the cause is no mystery. U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods, tougher border scrutiny, and an organized Canadian consumer boycott of U.S. travel that's been building since last year. Tourism contributes more than $3 billion a year to Michigan's economy, and Ontario and Quebec visitors are a real piece of our summer book up here. Hotels, charter operators, downtown retail, wineries from Old Mission out to Leelanau. Traverse City Tourism has already started redirecting marketing dollars to other markets to soften the hit. If you run a business that lives on summer, this is the story to watch, and we'll keep tracking the reservation pace as it comes in. Okay, on to local. Tuesday morning on Lafreniere Road, Grand Traverse County did something it has not done in over a decade. It broke ground on a major infrastructure project, and it's called Project Alpha. The price tag is nearly $28 million, and when it's done, it will deliver a brand new 9/11 dispatch center, a county emergency operations center, and a 38,000 square foot central operations building, all on the Lafreniere campus in Garfield Township. County Administrator Nate Algier didn't mince words. He called this the most significant infrastructure investment the county has made since 2012, the year the health department was built. That's a 14-year gap, and it tells us how long this has been coming. So here's the construction sequence. The central operations building goes up first. The 9/11 Center and the Emergency Operations Center follow. and the target completion is the summer of 2027. So what does this mean for residents? When a tornado siren goes off, when a wildfire moves on the peninsula, when the big call comes in at 3 a.m., this is the building the county is betting its emergency response on for the next generation. We'll keep an eye on the budget, the timeline, and how it intersects with the city budget conversation happening across town. Here's our second local story. The Grand Traverse Mental Health Crisis and Access Center has now served more than 1,000 people since it opened its doors in January of 2025. That milestone came in a briefing this week from Laura Glenn, Chief Operating Officer at Munson Healthcare, to the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners. She walked the board through what's working at the center, what gaps remain, and what the next steps look like. Here's why this center matters. Before it opened, somebody in a mental health crisis in this region had two real options: the emergency room or a jail cell. Neither one is billed for behavioral health care. The crisis center is a third door. Local law enforcement and Munson's ER staff have been routing people there instead, which frees up ER beds, keeps people out of the criminal justice system when that's not the right place, and gets them into actual care faster. Munson and the county are now planning next steps that could mean expanded hours, a wider service scope, or both. This is one of the most consequential policy shifts in local public health in years, and it deserves close attention from anyone who cares about how this community handles its hardest cases. Here's the third local story, the growth story. New data released this week shows Grand Traverse County is now growing at a pace that rivals the fastest growing counties in the state of Michigan. The numbers come from a 5-year look at private employment across the Traverse City Metro. That's Benzie, Grand Traverse, Kalkaska, and Leelanau. Jobs are up 25%, more than 12,700 new positions over 5 years. Leisure and hospitality, of course, leads the pack at plus 87%. Professional and business services up 30%. Manufacturing, yes, good old manufacturing is up 9%. Now, growth is not free. Every percentage point you just heard shows up somewhere: housing demand, school enrollment, traffic on US 31, water and sewer capacity, and, of course, the price of a starter home. The townships handling the bulk of new development, Garfield, East Bay, Acme, are already wrestling with apartment complexes, food truck rules, wireless towers, and TIF districts. If you felt this town change in the last 5 years, this is the data that explains why. The question for residents and commissioners now is whether the infrastructure, the housing stock, and the policy framework can keep up with what the labor market is telling us. And the last local story of the week, some good news on the healthcare front. Every eligible Munson healthcare hospital system-wide has earned an A grade from the Leapfrog Group in the spring 2026 hospital safety grade ratings released this week. The Leapfrog grades are not a marketing exercise. They measure patient safety, infection rates, medication errors, surgical outcomes, the things that decide whether you walk out of a hospital better or worse than you walked in. An A puts a hospital among the safest in the country. For Munson to land an A at every eligible hospital across the system, that's a real story, especially in a stretch when the system is still working through leadership transitions. Kathy, and I hope I pronounced this name right, Laurea, continues as interim president while the search for a permanent president plays out. If you live in this region, your odds of needing Munson healthcare at some point are pretty high. That this team is delivering top-tier safety scores during a transition year is worth pausing on. We'll keep an eye on the leadership search, and that's really the next chapter. And folks, that's your weekly news wrap for Friday, May 15th. Quick recap. Nationally, beef tariffs in flux at the White House, and Canadian travel into Michigan running well below last year. Locally, Project Alpha is officially off the ground. The Mental Health Crisis Center has now served over 1,000 people. Grand Traverse is growing as fast as anywhere in the state, and Munson is bringing home a clean sweep of A safety grades. If a story moved you, push back, tell me I got it wrong, or send me one I missed. You know how to find me. Travers Talks lives on listeners' lips. I'm Jim Horn, folks. Thanks for spending part of your Friday with me. Have a great weekend. Get outside if you can. That May's sun is finally on us, so enjoy it.